Hello, everybody. It is Monday evening, and you know what that means? It means it's time for the Sunday Night League. We are here today for round 3 of the Formula X World Championship Season 7. We're at Tokyo Expressway today, as you can see in this sign here. Tokyo Expressway. You'll notice that we are currently in a tunnel. You can see pit boxes just down there. That would be because we are in the east clockwise loop. So, let's run through the grid before we start the race today, why don't we? First off, on pole we have debutant, Ajax. So Ajax is a reserve. He is a Canadian, and he is driving for Mercedes this time round in place of Poolshark. And an interesting piece of information is that he is actually Bunny's brother. Speaking of which, Bunny's is second on the grid. So Bunny's in the McLaren, that number 1, lining up in second on the grid. We'll see how he does today. His brother is the only man starting in front of him. We'll see how he does. Comparatively, we have championship leader Matt Psycho in third. Matt starting in third. That number 16 Renault is going to be looking to go strong off of a lights to flag dominant victory last time out in St. Croix. Next, in fourth on the grid, we have our third champion in a row here, actually. We have the Season 6 champion, the Season 3 champion, and now the Season 4 champion here in fourth on the grid. It's Wolfbane, number 38, the Ferrari, lining up in a much better position than he has done so far this season. Next, we have Slenderfella in the Red Bull. This 2019 testing release livery lines up in fifth on the grid. Next we have Gasman in the second of the two Ferraris, lining up in sixth. Gasman with a relatively good qualifying result there. The second of the Ferraris, we'll see how that goes for him. Next we have Jam. Here you can see actually he put on a new helmet for this race. You'll see here, apologies. He has the white, yellow, and a bit of blue on there as well. You can see that. A nice helmet there. He was using a completely yellow helmet earlier in the season, but the number 7 with the Rothmans livery, with the Rothmans logo back, is lining up today in 7th on the grid. Number 7 in P7. Then we have number 4 in P8, that nice looking Mario helmet on Pat. Pat lines up in 8th on the grid today. A quite good qualifying result for the Red Bull driver, actually. So we'll see how he does off the start. Next up, we have Daz. Daz, the number 51 Tyrrell, and today the only Tyrrell on track. I'll delve into that a tiny bit more when I get to the end of the grid. Daz starting in Apologies as my brain kind of goes blank there for a second. Apologies, he is starting in 7th, if I'm not mistaken. I am mistaken. He's starting in 9th. Apologies for that bit of confusion. My brain sort of went blank there for a second. Jim Joker in 10th, though. The number 67 Williams here in 10th. On the right side of the grid. It's a long run down to turn 1, so even starting this far back shouldn't be a huge deficit for him. Aloe, number 57, is next up on the grid. On the left-hand side of the grid, it is the Lotus driver in P11, followed by his teammate Specmirrors, number 79, on 12th on the grid. Apologies, I keep misspeaking already. The Lotus, with an alright qualifying result, I think those two Lotuses will probably be looking to push further up the grid throughout the race. Let's take a look at Punisher now. Punisher next on the grid, he is in 13th on the grid. Number 24, the McLaren, coming from towards the back. The Canadian will be looking for a strong result today. Only just barely lost out to his teammate in St. Croix. an overtake on the last lap. Didn't look too difficult, but we weren't able to catch it on stream, unfortunately. The McLaren driver starting in 13th, followed by Bailey in 14th. Bailey, number 88. The Mercedes, his reserve teammate, lines up on first on the grid today, but he lines up in 14th. As I said before, though, starting towards the back won't be a massive deficit today, as the slipstream is very powerful here, and the rundown to turn 1 is very long. And last but not least, we do have Rob on drums, the number 42 Renault here. We'll see how Rob can do getting off the line. He'll be way back here. He'll be all the way back here. He's got Grogu on the back of his helmet. Grogu is my co-pilot, as he often says. Rob will be going from the back, but once again, I will just restate it. It's not a big deal if you're at the back. You really can push up the grid quite quickly, given the effects of the slipstream. And you'll notice today we actually have an empty grid spot for P16. You'll notice that Cthulhu is missing. That would be because Cthulhu, unfortunately, has gotten himself has received a penalty points race ban. He racked up 12 penalty points following an incident with Bunnies and Aloe last time out at St. Croix. And Cthulhu, now on 12 driver penalty points, has now serving a race ban. If you're wondering how that'll affect tires, he has been given the same allocation as his teammate Daz for this weekend, so that he's not, gaining any advantage through softer tires for the remainder of the season. Excuse me. But Cthulhu will be missing out on a lot of points today, as he cannot race due to that race ban. So you can see here, we got the grid all lined up in this tunnel, and we're ready to go, I think. Let's get going. It is, hold on, I'll just fix my settings quickly. There we go. It is the first sibling front row lockout from the two Canadians. Ajax and Bunnies, as I said, are brothers. Let's see how they fare down towards turn 1, as well as all the drivers behind. Let's get racing. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out, and we are racing here in Tokyo. Ajax gets away well. Bunny's already coming over to the left-hand side of the track. Both of those drivers are possibly, it looks like both of those drivers using a little bit of overtake, yeah. As Bunny's now alongside Ajax, he's going to try and make a move around the outside down towards turn 1. We come into the sunlight. Matt Psycho is there too. Matt Psycho in the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Slenderfella on the outside. Slenderfella through on the two of them, actually, into second. Slenderfellas are going around the outside. He hits the wall and he gets damaged, but he's into the lead. Can he hold that through turn 2 now? No, he hits the wall again. Ajax is through. Matt is through. Bunnies trying to go round the outside now on the overtake. Bunnies is through as well. Slenderfella back down to 4th. Those top 3 making it through on Slenderfella after he got that damage. Slenderfella could be a little bit of a cork in the bottle now. And due to his damage, we see Jam actually clipping the wall as well. Jam gets damaged too. Now it's Wolfbane in 6th. 7th is Gasman. 8th is Jim Joker. 9th, Pat. 10th, Punisher. 11th, Rob. 12th, Bailey. 13th, Daz. 14th, Speckmeyer. And 15th, Aloe. So the two Lotuses at the back of the grid now, as Daz has quite a bit of damage. Let's go back and see if we can figure out why that is. He has no damage here. We're into the fast right-left, or left-right chicane, and he just gets sort of knocked around a little bit by the drivers around him. It's a very, very chaotic section of the track there, but everyone getting through almost cleanly. Some drivers getting some damage, but nothing massive. So it is Ajax who leads the way. The debutant is leading towards the end of the towards the end of the first lap. It's into this hairpin. It's hard braking here. He looks like he runs a little bit wide. This top 3 is already pulling away a little bit. we've got Slenderfella there, and it looks like it's quite the gap there, but I want to see how this top three is going to pan out. These three are pulling away. You can see Bunnies there in the slipstream of Matt. He's going to look to the left. He's going to pull out to the left. Bunnies, the Canadian, the reigning champion, is trying to take P2, but he's just not got the speed when he pulls out of the slipstream. He's stuck behind Matt. Now he's going to look to the right. That'll be the inside when they come down to the first corner. The three drivers there battling it out. It looks like Bunnies is going to be challenging Ajax now into turn one. The two brothers are side by side going down towards turn one. It is Ajax in second now. Bunnies has the lead, Matt in third, and it looks like there's been contact. Ajax spins round and Matt is stuck there. Ajax hits the wall. Ajax is round. The pole sitter is around, and Matt looked like he was going slowly. He's waiting for Ajax. He feels that he's at fault and he's waiting for Ajax. Let's go back and see what's happened here, because we just didn't quite get the camera view. Let's take a look with Ajax. Actually, I tell you what, let's go on board with Matt Psycho. Matt is on the inside. He hits the brakes. It looks like both of these two drivers have just understeered, and Matt Psycho has spun round Ajax. So that is two of the front runners out of the running already. Not out of the race, but sort of out of the competition for first, as Ajax now struggling to get it turned round. It's a very, very tight section of the circuit. Matt is waiting there. I'm assuming Matt will let him through, so let's just look further up. It's Speckmere going around the outside of Bailey here, actually. So Speckmere up into 12th, and let's take a look at the front of the grid, because that top three was pretty far away, and now it's just Bunnies. And Bunnies, if you look there, there's Bunnies, and all the way back here is Wolfbane. So Wolfbane is not very close to Bunnies, and he's actually just picked up damage for himself. So the Ferrari driver will be dropping back even more now. Some great liveries, says Sarlacc. Quite a messy race so far, lol, says Sarlacc as well. It is indeed. Lots of contact, lots of chaos. Jam going a little bit wide at the hairpin. We'll see how his exit is, as actually Slenderfella gets some big oversteer there. And look at that, BRC Pat is in 5th. Pat was towards the back of the grid, I think 10th or 11th possibly, partway through lap 1, but look at him now, he's in 5th, and he's going to be challenging his teammate down the long straight. But it is worth noting that slipstream and bump drafting will be a massive part of this race. So many of these corners are flat out, and we have this massively long straight here, so that it is going to look a tiny bit like an oval race in the fact that slipstreaming and bump drafting will be incredibly important, as we have Jam on the outside of Wolfbane down towards turn 1. Wolfbane has the tighter line that might provide more grip, as they'll be on the marbles out on the outside, and Jam is unable to make a move at the current time. We'll see if Slenderfella can do anything. And BRC Pat actually has picked up damage through those first two corners. So here on lap 3, Pat is going to be struggling now with Gasman in 6th. He'll be looking to push towards Pat. Aloe in 7th, 8th is Jim Joker, 9th goes to Rob on drums. It's Daz and the Punisher side by side, the Canadian on the inside of the Brit, but Daz flies through, and Daz is going to be on the back of Rob on drums now as well. Ooh, nearly hitting the wall trying to go around the outside of him. This is one of the harder flat-out corners here. They drift quite far to the outside, and then it should be a flat-out chicane here in clean air. In dirty air, you do need to lift off, as Punisher hits the wall and picks up damage. So the McLaren in 12th will be dropping off the back of these boys now, as the damage will give him a straight line speed deficit down the long straight. It will go away probably before the start-finish line. It's hard to say exactly where, but it is not looking good, as Matt and Ajax are quite far off the back of Bailey. You can actually see Matt going by there in the background as we looked at Bailey. Apologies, meant to go up there instead of down. Let's look in the mid-pack. Jim Joker, Aloe, Gasman, Pat. Gasman's actually really under pressure from Pat, but Slenderfella is ahead of Jam. Jam is right on the back of Slenderfella. Pat is going to be under pressure from Gasman. Can Gasman make the move here? Gasman up into 5th, but it looks like Pat might even have the run now. A little bit of contact there. Let's take a look further up, because they're side by side here as well. It's going to be Jam around the outside of Slenderfella, and it's going to be Gasman down the inside of Pat. So we see the two Red Bulls there, both losing positions on this lap. The fastest lap of the race at the moment is a 41.270 by Bunnies, but we have Gasman with a 41.3 last lap, so the So the grid clearly not too far apart in terms of lap times. Wolfbane is second. Third is Jam at the moment. Slenderfella running well on those mediums. Jam also on those mediums. Let's take a quick look through the grid in terms of tires. It is Bunnies on the softs. Wolfbane on the softs. Jam and Slenderfella on mediums. Gasman on softs. Pat on softs. Aloe on softs. Jim Joker on softs. Daz on softs. Softs for Specmir. Hards for Rob on drums. Softs for the Punisher, hards for Bailey, mediums for Ajax, who has picked up damage on this lap, and softs for Matt. Matt Psycho actually quite close, getting a bit closer to the back of Ajax now, and Matt Psycho, ooh, it looks like he clipped the wall there. He might have just been in the dirty air. He's going purple on this lap. We'll keep an eye on the fastest lap counter there as Bunny sets a new fastest lap. We'll see Wolfbane now. How close is Jam to Wolfbane? Wolfbane sets a 42 flat, almost flat, 42.038. Jam sets a 41.6, so Jam is gaining. And I'll also point out, Wolfbane using the number 38, using the same number as Oliver Behrman used this weekend in Saudi Arabia for the Formula 1 Grand Prix. The reserve number for the Ferrari in real life in F1 being number 38, Wolfbane using the number 38 here in Formula X. So if you're impressed by Behrman, he's gone and stolen it from Wolfbane as, Jim Joker making it through on Aloe. I think Aloe has damage, he does indeed. That looked a little bit sketchy, but Jim Joker making it through nonetheless. Daz now up into 8th. Daz, oh wow, way purple. And I tell you what, I forgot to mention it as it happened, but Matt Psycho, a 140.537, he set the new fastest lap. I didn't catch that happening as it happened, but it has happened. Let's take a look back, because it looks like Matt is actually very close to the back of Ajax. These two very quick, qualifying first and third on the grid, but not very close to the rest of the grid. Bailey up here in 13th, Rob on drums in 12th, and it's Punisher in 11th. 10th is Specmir. 9th is Aloe on the back of Daz. Daz on the back of Jim Joker. Actually, the Tyrrell in 8th is now going to look for 7th. He's on the inside. It's Jim Joker in 8th and Daz in 7th now. Pat in 6th. 5th is Slenderfella. 4th is Gasman. Gasman making some good progress so far. Gasman on the back of Jam as well. The Williams has nowhere near as much speed because the Williams doesn't appear to be in the slipstream, or at least not close within it. Let's take a look on board for a second. You can see just how far ahead Wolfbane is in second, and it's Bunnies out in front. You can see the gap there. Bunnies hits turn 1 about now. Comparatively, Wolfbane isn't even thinking about braking yet. You can see the brake markers there now. Wolfbane and Jam, Gasman, and Slenderfella going into turn 1 now, and that gaggle of cars looks very chaotic. It's going to be Jam on the outside of turn 2. That was very, very nearly very clean and very impressive. He still makes it through, which is very impressive in and of itself, but he's got damage. Slenderfella doesn't. Slenderfella around the outside of this flat-out section is into second. Jam is third. Softs and third for Wolfbane now as Wolfbane goes down the inside. He makes it past Jam as well. And Gasman on the back of Jam. Both Ferraris are looking to get past the Williams now. One of them has already done it. We'll see if the second can. And there's another Williams coming up behind. It's Jim Joker in 6th, doing quite well for himself there. Jim Joker running very high up at the moment. He's used a boatload of overtake though. He's got less than a quarter left. And worth quickly pointing out now, the lights on top of the cars. I always explain this just in case you haven't seen Formula X before, or more to the point, haven't seen Super Formula cars before. You'll notice there is in fact a light above the driver's head there at the air intake. That light is green for Gasman. That means he has 25% or more of his overtake left. The overtake giving you a boost in the straight line speed, as Jim Joker on the back of Jam is going to be looking to overtake Jam. And Jim Joker, we'll see if actually, I'll go back to Jim Joker in a second in terms of that, but I'd like to see this side-by-side moment. Jim Joker side-by-side with Jam, and Jam makes it back through. I wonder if Jam might have had to burn up some overtake there, because he has seemingly a very impressive straight-line speed advantage, and he's got he's going purple in Sector 1, the fastest lap of the race at the moment, a 40.3 for our race leader, Bunnies. Pulling away, has used almost half of his overtake. and he is well out in front here. He is at least about 10 seconds ahead of Slenderfella and Wolfbane. I'm trying to look through the grid quickly and see if we can find anybody with a red light above their air intake, as we have Slenderfella, or Pat, apologies, on the outside of Aloe, and Aloe getting damage to nearly his entire car there. Aloe just into the wall there, through the high-speed chicane. Let's take a look back here. Is there anybody with a red overtake light here? There is not. So, I will come back to the red lights later. The red lights mean that you have 25% or less of your overtake left. Or, if we look at Gym Joker now, you can see that, well, this is focused on Gasman, apologies. Gasman actually down the inside, a very impressive move into the hairpin there. And Gym Joker goes down behind Daz and down behind Specmere now as well. So Gym Joker losing several positions there, but you'll notice Gym Joker does not have a light above his air intake anymore. That is because he is out of overtake. There is nothing left for the check driver to use, and therefore there is no light above that overtake, or above the driver's head, apologies. You can see the halo there surrounding the driver's head, and then the light in front. We've got a three-person bump drafting train here. It's gonna be four if they bump draft Gasman as well, but they don't. Daz goes in front, Specmere goes in front, Gasman sinks down a couple of positions here. He's gonna be on the inside though. He's through on Specmere from the looks of it. He's on the inside and he's got the position, so the Ferrari moves up to 7th. After some chaotic movement down the long straight there. It is impossible to tell who is where when they are battling like this, but it is proving to be some very entertaining battling, as Wolfbane on the inside is Slenderfella. Can't make the move. Slenderfella has P2 at the moment, and then it's Wolfbane and Jam. But Bunnies is miles ahead. Look at that gap. I don't think there will be anybody who can challenge him for the foreseeable future. We'll have to wait until pit stops and stuff like that. But it is Slenderfella leading the way of the rest of the pack. Slenderfella in second, then it's Wolfbane. Jam in third, fourth is Daz, fifth is Gym Joker. Apologies, fourth is Jam, fifth is Daz, sixth is Gym Joker, seventh Specmere, eighth Gasman, ninth Pat, 10th Aloe, 11th Punisher, 12th... Oh, actually, there looks like there's some chaos going on here. Let's take a look at what's happened. Let's go back a tiny bit. Let's see. It looked like there were 3 cars going on, so something must have happened to Rob on drums. So let's take a look at Rob on drums here. In 12th, going through the high-speed chicane. Oh, and he's clipped the wall. He's clipped the wall, and he's got damage, and there's nowhere he can go as Ajax comes and rams into the back of him, presumably just because it must have been unsighted there. And Matt Psycho on the inside. He's gonna go down the inside of Ajax. He is through. So Matt Psycho making an overtake on Ajax and his teammate Rob on drums. Both Ajax and Rob on drums having damaged their cars now, both using the overtake to try and gain a little bit of slipstream and straight line speed down the long straight, as Mike Phoenix in the chat, evening all. Evening Mike. Ajax, though, in 13th, he's under pressure from Rob on drums now. Both of those drivers, their damage has been fixed. Rob on drums on the inside is going to get through on Ajax from the looks of things. Unless Ajax is defending with overtake, it doesn't look like he is. He might be trying to stay in the slipstream of Matt. Matt moving to the right-hand side of the track, maybe helping Rob on drums a little bit there if he can. Rob on drums is on the inside of Ajax. Can the reserve hold it round the outside? He can. Ajax maintains 13th position. Bailey down in 15th, I've just noticed. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but he's been behind these 3 for a little while now, or at least say half a lap. I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but moving further up the field, we've got Gasman on the back of Daz, on the back of Specmere, and on the back of Gym Joker. We've got an excellent 4-way battle here. It's going to be chaotic into this chicane. Does everyone manage the dirty air all right? Gasman has damage, actually. I don't know what from. He might have clipped the inside wall there. I didn't notice the damage before on that Ferrari. So we'll take a look just a little bit further up quickly to make sure there's nothing too crazy going on here. Thunderfella in second, trying to defend from Wolfbane. Then it's Jam. Gym Joker's up into 5th. Specmere into 6th. 7th is Gasman. Pat is 8th. What has happened to Daz? He's lost a few positions here. Or has he? He has, yes. What's happened to Daz? Let's look. Let's go off board now. Let's look at Daz. What's going to happen here? as Aloe goes down the inside and just sort of knocks him out of the way of Pat. Oh, and he half spins as well. Aloe sort of pushes him forwards again. That is not the corner that Daz will have wanted, and he loses. Like, he's down by almost 5.5 seconds. Nowhere for me to go, says Rob. Yeah, it looked chaotic at that high-speed chicane. I'm assuming he's referring to the incident with Ajax and Matt. Aloe on the back of Daz, bumping the back of him. We'll see Punisher gaining on them. Let's look on board with Punisher down this long straight. Is there anything he can do? Is he going to make a move, or is he going to bump draft? He's going to go round the outside. He's using the overtake, but the slipstream is proving to be very effective for Aloe. The bump drafting working a treat for the Brit, bumping the back of Daz. As he goes down the inside, Aloe into 9th, Punisher around the outside, and Daz loses 2 positions. I'd like to see that better, because I was on board. I couldn't see what happened with Punisher, how he got around the outside there. It's going to look like Hacken and Schumacher in 1998, I want to say, at... no, that can't be right. Not 1998. That's definitely the wrong year. But Hakkinen and Schumacher at Spa-Francorchamps when they were lapping a back marker, and Daz, not a lap down or anything, but has them go all around either side of him. Let's take a look further up front, and let's just listen to the engines as they fly by. As there's a bit of contact there. It looked like possibly Pat going into the back of Speckmere, or maybe it was Gasman. I'm not sure. Speckmere looks alright, though. This gaggle of cars managing well. Gasman has about a bit of rear end damage, though, actually, as Pat has front wing and front left damage. It looked like there was a car going quite wide there, as Matt has made a move on Daz. So this group has caught up to the back of the pack. Matt and Ajax there, you can see they've caught up to the back of the pack, and what's happened to Daz? It looks like there might have been contact there with Punisher, and Daz ends up letting through Matt, presumably unintentionally. These two are championship rivals at the moment, and I forgot to run through the championship order before the race, but Slenderfella into the pit lane now, off of the mediums. We'll take a look in a minute at what tires he puts on, as Gasman also into the pit lane, and let's just take a look further up. It is Wolfbane and Jam here in second and third. Jam on the outside in the slipstream. He's pulled out of the slipstream. They're side by side. It's Williams and Ferrari. These two liveries look so nice together. We've got such a brilliant looking grid this season. And let's take a look. I'm just going to pull up the standings. That's GTE, apologies. There we go. There's Formula X. The standings are Matt, Daz, Jam, Cthulhu, Bunnies, Slenderfella, Speckmere, Aloe, Gasman, Rob on drums, Bailey, Punisher, Pat, Wolfbane, Jim Joker, and Pool Shark. Matt only 3 points ahead of Daz, who's only 1 ahead of Jam, only 2 ahead of Cthulhu, only 5 ahead of Bunnies, and who's only 3 ahead of the Slenderfella. Really, there's no massive gaps in the grid, but that top 5 especially, very much in the championship fight. And speaking of which, this is looking good for Bunnies so far. As I said, in 5th in the championship at the moment. Wolfbane all the way down in 14th, running in 2nd, doing very well for himself at the moment. The Ferrari driver, the Season 4 champion. He was champion for Aston Martin. Not the season he would have wanted so far this season, but he's making amends for it today. He's up in 2nd, battling with Jam, who's in 3rd in the championship and 3rd in the race. Jam doing very well this season and this race as well. Apologies, Darren Salmon, I am not entirely aware who you are, but saying struggle with an oversensitive brake pedal all race after a wheelbase/wheel upgrade. Oh, no, I know who that is. That's Daz. So Daz struggling all race with a sensitive pedal. Alright then, that's gotta be very, very frustrating for him, as Matt is up to 6th position. If there being more people in the pit lane, possibly. Daz confirming that he is in fact Daz. Excellent, thank you for that confirmation. But yeah, Matt Psycho in 6th now, really pulling his way up the grid. Pat here in 7th, and also the person who's coming up the grid very nicely as well is Ajax ahead of his fellow Canadian, the Punisher, in 9th. 10th is Daz coming, or racing behind the McLaren and the Mercedes, the two Canadians in front of him. Daz is going to be in the dirty air. And let's take a look through the sector. How does this all look in the dirty air? It seems Daz was still able to take that left-right chicane flat out. We'll see through the rest of this chunk. This chicane in the clean air is flat out. We'll see how it is in the dirty air. Watch his throttle inputs and his brake input possibly. I've actually, my racing wheel was covering the brake input on for me, so I didn't see it, but he definitely lifted off quite a bit. So this sector a lot more difficult in the dirty air than when in the clean air, as the Punisher actually runs wide and Daz gets through. So Daz, a very smooth move there through on the McLaren. Wolfbane and Jam both into the pit lane. So Wolfbane and Jam, the Ferrari and the Williams, that's the word, the Williams, both into the pits. Let's take a look at tires. Bunnies and Matt Psycho are both staying out, so are Ajax, Daz, and the Punisher. So this current top 5, not your net top 5, but your current top 5 are all on the soft tires except for Ajax, who is on the mediums. As we have 3 cars here battling down towards turn 1, a McLaren and a Mercedes battling. We saw this on lap 2, this time a Tyrrell instead of a Renault alongside them. Hopefully it won't go as badly this time for the Mercedes. It doesn't at all. Ajax comes out in 3rd, so Ajax on the on-track podium at the moment, but that won't be a net podium. He does need to pit. All 5 of these guys need to pit. So let's take a look further back though. It is Jam, still on the mediums. He didn't replace his tires. Slenderfella on a fresh looking set of softs. Then it's Wolfbane on a fresh set of softs. The same worn hards for Rob on drums. He hasn't pitted yet, you can tell by his fuel. A Lowy on a fresh set of softs. It looks like it's possibly worn by a lap or 2 softs for Gasman. Specmere on fresh softs. Pad on fresh softs. Excuse me, Jim Joker on fresh softs, and fresh mediums for Bailey, as our race leader is into the pits. Bunny's in the pits, and leaving the pits now, having refueled, and he is over a pit stop ahead of his championship rival, ahead of the championship leader, Matt Psycho. Of course, I say his championship rival. There are 5 championship rivals, especially at the moment. Realistically, nobody is out of the count, out in the top 7 or 8 or so, but especially that top 5 has been mentioned as being really there in the fight. But Bunny's in 1st, and then it's Wolfbane in 2nd, Jam in 3rd. And I tell you what, sorry, what I wanted to mention is I noticed that Bunny's has not replaced his tires. He's refueled, but he's still on the same set of worn softs. So his tire allocation, a soft hard this weekend, and doing very well to keep on these soft tires. Wolfbane on the softs here as well. I'm going to run through, just quickly, I'm going to take a look through the tires used this weekend. Let's see, it's Pat on soft hard, Slenderfella, soft medium hard, Renault, Rob on drums, soft hard for Matt as well. So Matt and Bunny's on the same tire strategy. Worth noting, those two both in the championship hunt at the moment. Wolfbane soft medium, so a very soft tire lineup for Wolfbane. Soft hard for Gasman. Bailey medium hard, as there's some chaos here actually. Slenderfella right on the back of a Lowy, and Matt Psycho on the back of him. Matt on the hards gets some damage there, and you can see the red light over his airbox. I mentioned that earlier in the race. That means he has 25% or less of his overtake remaining in this race. He's also set a 39.3. That is an absolutely unbelievable lap from the Renault driver. That is an insane lap to set the current fastest lap of the race. We'll see if anybody can beat that, but I would have trouble believing anybody will. That is an unbelievable lap. Let's continue to run through the tires quickly. Bailey, medium, hard, hard. Ajax, medium, hard, hard. So the two Mercedes both going medium, hard, hard, and that might be reflected if we look quickly. Ajax has not replaced his mediums, but he has taken a pit stop. So Ajax still on those same mediums, looking to do the same as his brother, bringing one set of tires the entire race distance, presumably. It looks like everyone has fueled up enough to go for the entire rest of the race here on lap 15. All of the drivers at least on similar, if not the same, amounts of fuel. And actually worth noting, as you could see just over the river there, very, very dark skies here. It is looking very dark out. And I do wonder if there might be a risk of rain at some point. This track, certainly one that can rain, so we'll see if there is any in the end. But let's take a look. Let's run through the grid quickly at the moment here at the end of lap 15. It's Bunnies in first, Wolfbane second, third is Jam, fourth Aloy, fifth Slenderfella, sixth Gavin, seventh is Matt, eighth is Ajax, ninth is Specmere, 10th is Daz, 11th is Pat. Was Jim Joker now 11th? That was a sweet move around the outside there. Pat has damage, but nonetheless, going around the outside there takes a lot of bravery. I would like to see what Jim Joker has just done, because that is very, very impressive. And we'll continue running through the grid order quickly in a second. He gets himself damaged, but still, going around the outside there is ever so impressive. So props to Jim Joker for that move. That is very, very impressive. A lot of bravery required to do that. Jim Joker Specmere 9th, Daz is 10th, Jim Joker 11th, Pat is 12th, Punisher 13th, Rob on Drums 14th, and Bailey is 15th. So, Wolfbane starting to pull away quite a bit from Jam here, about 6 or so seconds ahead of Jam, but Bunny's at least about 20 or so seconds ahead of Wolfbane. So a large gap for Wolfbane, an even larger gap for Bunnies, the two previous champions really showing their worth right now. The reigning champion and the Season 4 champion. Then it's Slenderfella in third, actually, as Jam has fallen down a couple positions. Let's take a look at the slipstream shenanigans going on here. Aloy is behind Slenderfella. Slenderfella gets through on Jam, and Aloy gets through on Jam as well. Jam just has to pull into the slipstream on the outside of the corner there. And Aloy's now going to look to pressure. Oh, as Aloy spins! Aloy's put it in the wall! Aloy's facing the wrong way. The Lotus driver, oh! Just looked like he got contact there, possibly with Ajax and Matt there. Ajax and Matt, no damage for either of them, but it looked exceptionally close between them. So chaos suddenly here on lap 16. Matt and Ajax, though, I want to point out, were well down on the rest of the grid by the end of lap 2 after some contact at turn 1 on lap 2. The Mercedes reserve and the Renault driver both doing very, very well at the moment to be in 6th and 7th, and that is genuine position. That's not net position, that's not strategy. That is the genuine position of these two drivers. Now, looking further up, we have Gasman pressuring Jam for 4th. These two drivers doing quite well, both help with managing the league and doing briefings and stewards reports and such. So these two drivers, the Ferrari and the Williams, flying along the long straight, and very, very quickly at that, you'll see the slipstream effect for Gasman. He's over 300 kilometers per hour for a moment there. Comparatively, if we look at someone who's not in the slipstream, it's only 286, 85, 87 for Wolfbane, who is not in the slipstream, of course, because the nearest person to him in front is about 20-odd seconds ahead. Looking further back, though, it's going to be Gasman on the back of Jam. He's going to look towards the inside, towards the end of the straight. Is he going to be able to make a move down the inside? No, he's not. It looks like Jam just has the grip on the outside. And here on lap 17, the Williams is defending very nicely. Let's take a look through the tires again, because I never did finish that. Jam on medium, hard, and I think that reflects in the fact that he did not change his tires. He's just doing one set of mediums to the end of the race from the looks of things. Jim Joker soft, hard. Daz soft, medium, hard. Cthulhu, who has a race fan, will have the exact same thing as his teammate, soft, medium, hard. Bunnies soft, hard. Punisher soft, hard. Sorry, Bunnies and Punisher soft, hard. and Speckmere and Aloe both soft hard. So that is your tires. It sort of spread out a little bit as I kept getting distracted by the action on track. These drivers constantly doing, using lots of, or having lots of battles, as Aloe saying, I pulled the handbrake instead of pressing the overtake, sad face, and that is a surprisingly common mistake. You may remember, if you remember when we were first going onto this game, as we have Jam and Gasman still fighting there, but if you remember when we first started, Jam is into the pit lane. Jam is into the pit lane. So what is going on here? What is happening? Jam is in the pits, so is Matt. And Jam is putting on the full wet tires. And it's raining out on track. You can see there's rain. There is rain here at Tokyo Expressway. There is chaos going on. As I was quickly saying, I'll finish my thought quickly. You may remember Silent Wolf, when we first started playing on GT7 at Austria, I believe hit the handbrake by accident instead of flashing his lights as he came around the last corner. Nearly lost the race, went to Ajax on that occasion. Apologies, not Ajax. Ajax was not racing yet at that point. Apologies. Nearly lost it to Matt. Let's see these drivers though. It looks like it's just about Inter's weather at the moment, but the rain is definitely coming down. Who has pitted? Bunnies is still on softs. Look at him here. He's coming down towards the tunnel though, and presumably into the pit lane. Surely he'll have to pit here. He does indeed, so Bunny's into the pits. Wolfbane on the softs, he has damage. Wolfbane looks like he's struggling. Slenderfella on softs also has damage. Gasman on softs does not have damage though. Gasman doing quite well compared to the other two in front of him, it seems like. And Bunnies is out of the pits on Inters already, so you can see people spinning all over the place. It's chaos. Jim Joker's around. It looks like Ajax was around there. It looked like he was pulling away from a spin there. As Jam flies through everybody, it's chaos. There's so much going on here. Suddenly we see here in the chicane, Ajax hits the wall, gets damaged, spins it round. There's Speckmere spinning, there's Jim Joker spinning, Jam makes it through, Aloe is around, ooh, Punisher's around as well. Everybody is spinning all of a sudden because everybody is on the dries and it is raining. It is absolutely chucking it down. Matt Psycho, though, on the intermediates, is flying through this pack. Slenderfella goes wide at that corner. I didn't see that. He's just gone wide. You can see Gasman wide as well. Wolfbane is just crawling along, and you can see Bunnies already just flying along here. So Bunnies is opening up his gap even more out in front as Wolfbane against the barriers. Gasman seems to be managing the best on the dries. Gasman spins it as I say that. Gasman is around. He's around again. He's around again. That's 3 spins for Gasman, but he keeps on going. He gets the car going. It's Wolfbane into the pit lane. Jam continues on those full wets. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe it's going to keep raining even more and go into the full wet territory. But Bunnies is on the Inters, and it looks like he's taking a little bit easy, but he is flying nonetheless on those Inters. He's got a massive gap to Jam, even larger than he had before. Jam is on the full wets. Matt on the Inters. Gasman did not pit. Gasman has stayed out in the rain on the soft compound tires. Surely that must mean the rain is ending soon. As I say that, I'm realizing I'm not seeing any more rain. There's rain on the circuit by all means. The track is very, very wet, but I'm not seeing any more rain coming down. As Wolfbane on the Inters, Daz on the Inters, Speckmere on the Inters, Slenderfella on the Inters, Bailey, Jim Joker on the Inters, Bailey on the wets, Ajax on the Inters, Aloe on the softs. So Aloe still driving on the softs as well as Gasman. Raw on drums comes out on the pits on the Inters, so does the Punisher, and Pat is still on the softs as well. So, actually, Bunnies is getting close to lapping Pat, actually. Look at that. Bunnies is that red arrow there. Pat is that red arrow there. So, Bunnies not too far off the back of the grid. Or not too far off the back of the pack while running in first, but it's Matt Psycho down the inside of Jam. The Inters will be better at the moment. The wets just will not have the turn-in at the moment. They should have the traction, presumably, but they will not have the turn-in as we're nearly back into dry conditions already on the racing line. There's a yellow flag up ahead. What's happened here? Might have been Punisher, as we're down to 14 drivers, and it seems to be Pat that is missing, as there's a yellow flag. It's Gasman. Gasman's still on the softs. What's happened to him here? He's battling with Speckmere, he's battling with Daz, he's in the wet area, he hits the brakes and he's round in an instant. So Gasman has turned into a very impressive ballerina. Unfortunately though, he's trying to drive a car, not ballerina shoes. So Gasman looping it round several times, staying on the softs though. I can respect the perseverance, but at a certain point surely that's slower. And Matt Psycho still with Jam right there. Jam must have gotten back through with the slipstream. Matt Psycho on the inside thinks better of it. He might have had flashbacks to his turn 2 or to his turn 1 incident on lap 2 there, but he still makes it around Jam on the inside in the second corner, and the intermediate runner getting past the wet runner. So Jam will be absolutely bleeding time here. As I'd just like to quickly say, a quick thanks to the 15 people watching. We got some excellent numbers here today, and through Tokyo Expressway, we had rain. It's now dry. You can see the little thing on the left that showcases how wet it is. You can see that go down as they go under a bridge or through the tunnel, presumably. Let's go up to Bunnies, who's in the tunnel. It is completely dry in the tunnel. Comparatively, out here, Aloe in 14th is in the wet. You can see it's still wet out on track, just not in the tunnel, of course, because, well, it can't really rain in the tunnel. But Aloe in 14th, the Lotus driver struggling here. We've seen him spin a couple times already, certainly with that accidental pressing of the handbrake. Indian Stig Racing saying, evening all, welcome to the race. We're here on lap 20, we're getting close to the end. Bunny's on lap 21, and let's see, Matt is quite a ways behind Bunnies, so I don't think Matt will be able to challenge him. But Matt, let's see what lap times he's setting. A 46.1 and a 45.2. Comparatively, it's a 53.5 and a 47.4 for Bunnies. So either Bunnies just having an outright pace deficit or not pushing, hard to say which, but Bunnies nonetheless losing time quite rapidly to Matt, but Matt's so far behind that I don't think he'll be able to do anything about it. Jam in third, still on the wets. Fourth is Wolfbane. Fifth is Daz. Sixth is Thunderfella. Seventh is Jim Joker. Eighth is Gasman, who will now start to have the advantage still being on those softs. Ninth is Bailey. 10th is Speckmere. Speckmere in the pits. Comes out of the pits on the soft compound tires. Then it's Ajax in 11th. Will he be able to get past Speckmere on the slipstream? Speckmere running along there, goes into the wet. He's on the softs now. We'll see how the Lotus driver does. And it actually looks like he's slowing down a bit. So Speckmere pulled off to the right-hand side of the track. Speckmere is going quite slowly suddenly. And Ajax is through comfortably into 10th. Rob on Drums in 12th is coming along in the inters. And it's the Punisher and Aloe side by side. Let's see how this goes. It's still wet when you're offline, but if you can be on a racing line, it'll be a little bit drier. It's Aloe on the outside. He hits the wall and the Punisher's through and Aloe's around again. Aloe spun it at turn 1. And where's Bunnies? Well, Bunnies lap him here. It's hard to say. Aloe struggling to get it going right away, but gets it going pretty quickly. Bunnies through turn 1 and turn 2 now. Is Bunnies going to lap him? I think he might just. And Aloe, yes, Aloe is a lap down now. Bunnies on lap 22. Aloe on lap 21, but Aloe's race will only be 22 laps now. And Matt Psycho in second, so far back from Bunnies. But let's take a look at the lap times again. A 47.7 and a 44.2. Matt is gaining hand over fist. Jam, on the other hand, is leaking time even to Bunnies. Bunnies slow compared to Matt. Jam even slower. Those wet tires in what is ultimately now a track worth using the dries on. Jam is going to be struggling. Wolfbane gaining 3 seconds on him on the last lap, 2 seconds on the lap before. Daz running along nicely on the inters as well. These two drivers on the intermediates. but it's Gasman on the softs, and we'll see the effect of that, I would imagine, as Gasman is on the outside of Jim Joker. Can he make the move? He can't quite. Oh, it's going to be a very nice switch back there for Gasman. Down the inside now of Jim Joker, and Gasman is up into 7th. Jim Joker down to 8th. 9th is Bailey. 10th is Ajax. 11th is Rob on drums. 12th is Punisher. 13th is Aloe. And Speckmere appears to have retired from the race. And I can tell you now, Speckmere has used a wrong set of tires and chose to retire due to that mistake that he made. So, let's look through the grid. Who is close together? Let's see. Aloe on his final lap. Bunny's on his final lap, of course, therefore, as well. Matt Psycho coming up to starting his final lap. Then it's Jam. You can see Wolfbane there. You can see Wolfbane and Daz. I just pointed at my screen as though you could see me. Not sure why I did that, but look back there. You know, you can see Wolfbane and Daz. Daz not far off the back of Wolfbane. I wonder if they'll be able to pressure Wolfbane in the coming laps. Well, in the coming lap, I should say, because they've only got 1 lap left to do it. Slenderfella's there. Gasman on the soft will surely be gaining on Slenderfella. Then you've got Jim Joker, Bailey, Ajax. Ajax and Bailey, the 2 Mercedes, are quite close together. The debutant, the reserve, chasing after the full time. Rob on drums in 11th, 12th Punisher, and 13th is Aloe. This group not too close together. It's really just these 2 here. Let's take a look at Bunnies, because he'll be coming up towards the end of the race now. And I want to point out Bunnies on using the number 1. Bunnies is, I'll just keep an eye on the 2 Mercedes as they are quite close together now. Actually, Ajax very, very close to Bailey. Ajax round the outside. The Mercedes driver is going to take the position, surely. He's got so much overspeed here. He uses the overtake. He looks like he's through. It's going to be round the outside goes Ajax, but let's take a look at Bunnies using the number 1. One has never won a race in Formula X, but Bunnies is going to do it. Bunnies breaks the curse and wins in Tokyo Expressway for McLaren. The reigning champion takes victory, and it was against all odds after lap 2, but Matt Psycho in 2nd now. After contact with the pole sitter at turn 1 of lap 2, Matt Psycho has fought his way back through the grid valiantly. The Renault driver, against all odds, is gonna come home to take P2 in the Renault number 16, the Season 3 champion. The championship leader takes 2nd position. Jam is going to take 3rd. It's going to be such a good season for him. It has been so far. Surely it will continue. It's been 3rd, 4th, 3rd for Jam. The Williams comes home on the podium. It's Season 4 champion Wolfbane's return to form as he takes 4th. 5th is Daz's. 6th is going to go to Slenderfella. Slenderfella in the Red Bull, number 21, P6. 7th is Gasman. 8th is going to be Jim Joker. Jim Joker, a very good result today. Ajax, the reserve, the pole sitter on debut, the brother to the race winner. He's going to come home in 9th. Is number 12. The reserve will be back next week in the Red Bull, but this week it's P9 in the Mercedes. It's P10 for Bailey in the Mercedes. It's 11th for Rob on drums in the 2nd of the 2 Renaults. It's going to be 13th for Aloe. He's already crossed the line. Let's take a look at Rob as he crosses the line. And Punisher comes home in 12th. And that is your race today. What a race. That was chaotic from start to finish. We had a couple minutes of rain. Some people chose not to pit. A couple of them chose not to pit. Most people did pit. And, I'm now going to just pull up, I'll take a look at let's run you through the results, and then I'm going to run you through the provisional standings. So it's Bunnies who wins the race. He breaks the curse. Number 1 has now won a race in Formula X. It's Matt Psycho in 2nd. The championship leader comes home on the podium, despite having been so far behind the rest of the grid at the end of lap 2. Jam is 3rd, 4th is Wolfbane, 5th is Daz, 6th is Slenderfella, 7th is Gasman, 8th is Jim Joker, 9th is the reserve on debut, Ajax, 10th is Bailey, 11th is Rob, 12th is Punisher, and 13th is Aloe, a lap down. Now, I will run you through the provisional standings. We don't have any stewards report yet, so there could be penalties. Some incidents throughout the race, so it's very possible there will be penalties. But for the time being, the provisional standings are Matt Psycho on 70 points in first, 63 points for Bunnies in second, 61 for Jam in third, 57 for Daz in fourth. Fifth is Slenderfella with 44. Cthulhu slips down to sixth with his race band on 38. Gasman on 36th. Speckmere on 30. Aloe on 28, tied with Rob, but winning on countback, or ahead on countback, I should say. Rob there on 28 as well. Wolfbane on 25 with that P4. Bailey on 18. Jim Joker's 17. Punisher 12. Pat 10. Ajax 8. And Pool Shark 3. As for the constructors, again, this is all provisional, but as for the constructors, I liked the camera view we got a moment ago of Bunnies. That's almost it. Whatever. Renault on 98 in the lead. Tyrrell only 3 points behind on 95. Williams on 78. McLaren on 75. Ferrari on 61. Lotus on 58. Red Bull on 54. And Mercedes falling behind a little bit on 29. So, a huge thank you to everybody who has watched today. An excellent race. The curse is broken. The number one wins. That's the camera view I was looking for earlier. You can just see the treads of the tires so nicely there. I really like that camera view. I might even take a photo of it after. That is really a nice camera view, actually. Matt Psycho in second, though. Championship leader, now leading by 7 points provisionally. The gap increases, but Bunnies especially climbing up the ranks after that win. The curse is broken. Matt Psycho in second. Jam continues his phenomenal run of form, coming home in third, and truth be told, given he was medium hard, and then wets during that entire wet period, a really excellent drive there. A return to form for the Season 4 champion. Daz continuing to run quite strongly in fifth. Gasman keeping it out on the softs throughout the rain, still coming home in seventh despite that. Ajax on debut, pole position, and then P9. And I'd say those are really the big stories from today. Thank you again to everybody who watched. I had a ton of fun doing the commentary today. Always a great pleasure to commentate for all of you. We will be back next week around this time on Monday for Sardinia B Reverse in Italy. Round 4, and we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Debutant and Reserve Ajax will be back. This time in place of, he didn't finish the race, so I can't go to his car, but in place of Pat. So, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you again to everyone who watched, and I will catch you next time. This has been myself on the mic, and see you next week.